support the Zionists, the Israeli state so much, I think you're just an ignorant person, man. You could be a Jew, but you don't have to support Israel.
Not to forget Jeffrey Epstein's best friend.
They're all pedophiles, bro. In Florida, they got away with it. You know,
I mean like Jeffrey Epstein's best friend that was found hanging in this luxury apartment downtown Paris. Yeah, that's another story they never brought to the surface or to the news. I'll look this up. His best friend, like, found unalive, hanging on a piece of rope. How convenient.
And you know another thing, so he, he got immunity, right, from the state of Florida, right? Even though the child molesters or offenders, they need to make sure wherever they move in whichever part of the America, right, they have to report it that we're going to live here. They can't live close to schools and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But this guy got immunity from the fucking government. And I was like, what? Him and his other buddy or whatever. They're both they're pedophiles. And this is all connected, man. This goes deep. I think that brother Court that was saying, he made some good points. It goes in really deep. Exactly. It's just hard to piece all this together.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to take some of the information and look into it. I thank you for sharing that. It's really interesting.
I've got a question though. Why should non-Arabs support Palestine? I don't understand this. Why should what? A non-Arab support Palestine?
Yeah. I mean, please don't troll, man. We're just trying to have a serious
I'm not
conversation.
trolling. I'm not trolling.
The Zionists here.
No, but I'm not.
Uncle, no, we were just having a chat about a couple of things that I actually find quite interesting.
Uncle,
coming from a perspective I've never really looked at before, and I'd like to take it too.
Uncle, do you have to be a female to speak against rape?
Well, men can get raped too.
Exactly my point. Anybody can get genocided. Anybody can be.
But the thing is, right? When the Palestinians call for help, they call for the Arabs. Okay, so they call it an Arab problem. It's an Arab problem. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with us.
Why are you the one that said Arab children should be raped the other day?
No, I did not.
Yes,
No, I did not. That is incorrect.
Shut the fuck up.
Beautiful how you did that, Leila. It was a beautiful left stiff jab, followed up by a right hook. Executed with the most perfect spinning heel kick to the liver I've ever witnessed.
He was trolling like that, Leila? That's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy. But that was interesting today, the FBI report on the top, and
Do you recognize the pattern? Do you see what happened on there?
yeah, this is all goes back to Mossad, man. It's all connected.
No. That's not what I'm referring to. How slowly but certainly, like walking on their toes, trying to make no noise, like a burglar does. One Zionist after the other one left the state. Never heard of the Israeli dancing art students. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck, it's literally decades old news. And you're like, well, was this happening before the planes? Like during? Like, why the freak does it matter? Like, there was no human being a lot happy with what was happening on 9/11. And then you got like a group of men dancing, jumping up and down, and recording the whole event. And then eventually, on the same day, right, getting arrested with multiple passports, right, which is already like some sort of federal charge you'll be dealing with. Big slum, like a big amount of cash money. And then two of them turn out to be Mossad agents, right? And it's like, no, there's nothing weird about that.
Yeah, but how do they get away with it though? If they found this much money in the different passports, that's a federal case. So it's because of the Mossad and CIA, working together.
Maybe they had like diplomat passports. They always get like whatever is like out of the ordinary. See how they never responded to when I said like there is not a single of those so-called 19 hijackers on video to be seen boarding any of those planes. The irony.
No, they didn't even find the black box. So look at it, I remember, right? Those airplanes, they were so bad. How did they find the passport of these Saudi nationals? Wow. Crazy. And guess what? I learned all this from Clubhouse and TikTok. I mean, on the Twitter Spaces. I wasn't aware of all these facts, right? I was like, yeah, no. I knew that the building cannot go down like that, right? But then some of the people came into the big rooms. They were like a professional architect. They said it could happen. It can go down like that. So I guess there's a difference of opinion from different architects with different ones.
Oh, you mean architects for 911.org?
No, they were on Clubhouse. They came on Clubhouse. They're licensed. They work with some people here on this app. That own construction companies. Sad. I think you should open up a room together with friends and, with all the controversial people together, Mod, and then I think you should talk about the 9/11 thing, That'd be interesting, and, and we can get some Zionists in there as well, and maybe educate some of the Zionists.
The Zionists all have PhDs in degree called denial. That's what they're gonna do anyway, With all the footage that there is out there, what's happening in Gaza. We found a list in the hospital. We got a list, remember? They were making like silly TikTok videos about it. No, Hamas bombed their own hospital. It was Hamas that did it. Hamas did they bombed all the hospitals, all the schools, all the factories, all the mosques, all the churches, all the refugee camps, all the shelters.
No, the refugee camp was a mistake, remember?
But it was a mistake, yeah.
I just want to say I fucking hate Clubhouse.
You hate it? Why?
Let me,
No.
can I give you, let's see here.
Yeah, yeah. No, Amir, that's why I left earlier. Rhodey is a Zionist. We had a private conversation. Rhodey and Pumelo, they're both Zionists. And what I was trying to do is, privately, I was trying to bridge the gap and let them know that because I told them straight up, I said I'm anti-Zionist. That's antithetical to not only my personal belief but to Islam. And I was surprised to see him in here. I was actually surprised. That's why I made that comment. I was like, wow, because they're not normally in Muslim rooms, or
Well,
especially Muslim moderators.
I follow Rodi, by the way.
Yeah, but Rodi, honestly, like he shows respect to the Muslims. Actually, he actually gives me salams too. By the way, you know, he's a he's a good guy. I told him, I said I just don't believe in the Zionism, man. Like that's the only thing.
No, no, but Fleming, the issue is, bro, multiple times people have tried to talk to him, Rodi. He, he could be nice and whatever, but then when you try to ask him about the genocide and this and that, he just changes the story. He is against some parts of the government of Israel. When I first talked to him, right, that's what he said. Some parts of it, not all of it. And but other than that, man, he does support the IDF and all that, bullshit. So as soon as they support it, I wouldn't even say hello to them, brother. I wouldn't even say hello, salam, or none of that.
Yeah, I know. Pumelo, I don't know him. Sleep calmly.
But yeah, one night is not that big.
But 190 for a female, I've never seen a female like, yeah, I'm 190 and say that shit proud. Like,
and hold on a minute. Remember didn't she say, look, and then didn't she say about how it depends on the height to weight difference?
But look, she didn't say her fucking height, because she knew she fat as fuck, but like, I've never been around a bitch that's 190, bro. Like, if you a bitch that's 190, I don't want to talk to you because I feel like you're going to try to wrestle with me or just push me around. Like, I feel like you're a little bit too big. Like,
she sound like, I ain't gonna lie, she sound like a 4'11".
You gonna come in and be like, you making dinner tonight. Why she already...
To the pandemic, I look at it as like the universe just stepping on, planet Earth and being like, time to wake up, humans. Like, enough of the same bullshit, enough of the same stuff. It's time to heal. Like, when you look and see how much debt the U.S. is indebted to, we have trillions of dollars in debt. I look at that as almost something that like is also karmically aligned to your humanity. Like, you have a lot of fucking debt that you have to resolve. Fighting each other is not going to resolve it. We're already going through history. Many, many years ago, this has already occurred. And yet we're still here having the same conversations, right? So I think really it goes down.
You Miami that she goes sovereign, like I was talking about before, the register from the Corporation of America. I've been told this, I don't know it for a fact. I'm just asking a question. Is it true that our ancestors already paid off our debt?
No, I don't believe in that. I mean,
I would
United
actually
States doesn't have enough money to even pay the interest on the debt, by the way, let alone the principal of the capital.
That's a whole other topic. Not to go sovereign. Your debts are paid. Our forefathers, or wait, hold on. Check out a room called Sin. It's on Twitter. There's a large population that go into that room that talk about this, and I can't really talk too much about the topic, but we don't really. Okay, now I'm trying to say, we don't know that. This is buying out farmland. Oh, hello. I've seen it on my phone. They own this fish. They own it.
So, you saying about the food chart, right? I think that's primarily because once we established it, we created so many industries. And if you genuinely think about it, see, human beings don't really have a purpose for life, okay? So most of what we do is facilitate each other. That's what humanity is for the most part, okay? Someone creates roads so someone can drive on it. The other person's working in railways so we can move from one point to the other. Farmers are growing food. And so what we're doing for the most part is facilitating each other and our needs. And we have set up this entire system for it, right? And now, since World War II, these systems, these organizations that were created based on these food plans and stuff, they plan their industry. These industries have become so strong that it's really hard to remove them because no one wants to let go of their profits, right? And a lot of this has got to do with free speech as well, by the way. That it's one of the biggest problems, and it's a very hot debate because with free speech, what you get is you get the ability for anyone to talk. And so there is no condition, right? There's no condition to who can say what. So say the companies came out and can publish anything as long as they feel it's right. If you look at content creators today, most of the content creators are not scientists, not physicists. They're leeching off content from other people, copying and pasting it online, right? Free speech, and they can add their opinion to it. And there you go. And so what has happened because of this is that we are allowed to say anything we want. And because there is no penalty for saying something crazy or bullshit, we just get away with it under the influence of free speech. So you can have X number of studies saying that cigarettes are good for you, paid by doctors who think, hey, this is my opinion. I have free speech, right to express myself, and this is what it says, even though they might disagree with it. And we have done this with almost every industry, including science, by the way, and technology, where we have.
Sam, you know what? I don't know exactly. I mean, from what I've researched, there's really a few companies that kind of monopolize and own everything. Pac Bell, as example. T-Mobile joining forces. It's all the same company. They're just switching names. We're really owned by these corporations, these families, and it's the Rothschilds.
I mean,
Literally.
at the end of the day, though, regardless of the Rothschilds and all these things, we know that they've been around for a while. The thing is that we can.
They've been around since Egypt.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
I forgot what the other part of the surname derives from. Billy Carson talks about it. Okay, go to Sean Ryan and Billy Carson. Really great fucking interview. Really fucking great.
Billy Carson, I watched him on Joe Rogan with Terrence Howard. Please, that is not science. Like, this is not based on anything. Even the Terrence Howard thing, because I feel like genuine science people would be able to call this bullshit off like straight away. But because my brother he pinged me and he's like, and I do know that Terrence Howard owns some patents. I have 5 patents in my name. Owning a patent is not that complicated as long as you have a design and stuff in your mind. I think you can do it. But to go ahead and say that the entire and this has got nothing to do with the fact that what he's trying.
I don't understand.
This is what I want to say. Hold on, Chris.
Hold on. This is the patent attorney. You can do a poor man patent. With technology today, like let's say I have a business and I shoot a picture out of something I created, which I have. There's already digital forensics in that picture. So there's patents being established all the time. So that's not really, I don't know.
That's exactly what I said.
This is what I want to say, right? If free speech is truly real, right? Why is it that the U.S. want to get rid of TikTok, right? Because I know it has a lot to do with data breach and whatnot, right? But if free speech was actually a thing, why do they want to get rid of TikTok?
It's a threat.
It is a threat.
Yeah, it's a threat to our security because you have other groups with interest on, basically spy. Like I looked up not too long ago this list that documented all the times China was found out to try to spy on us and all this, and it's just a bunch of crazy shit. But yeah, TikTok is. If I think about it this way, if I was a different group, right, and I'm looking for advantage points over another group. If I create or have an app that their citizens or participants of that group are logging onto and it is extracting data from their phone, so I know things that they eat, what they consume, their habits, what they pay attention to, how they're influenced, what they're influenced by, and then I'm also getting them on the app verbalizing problems within their country, vulnerabilities, just basically a fucking wormhole of data, information. I could use that to my advantage because even though we have a government and we have certain protections, we're always going to be faced with threats. So anything that's basically a potential threat, I think it's valid. Even though I do like TikTok. I like TikTok and I enjoy it a lot. And if they were to take it away, I would kind of be sad. But I understand the sentiment because it's actually concerning, when you really think about it. I looked into, they have another app that has the same coding as TikTok, but there are some differences. But with that app in China, they are basically spying directly on their citizens and doing all of this crazy shit. So it's bro, the threat and the things that China has done in regards to America, and then when we think about all of the things we rely on to be imported here from various countries, that's another threat, our foods,
exactly,
mainly our clothes,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We have these big distribution companies like Temu, Alibaba,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And these are being sold on the main platforms like Amazon. When people go on Amazon, if they aren't familiar with reselling, they wouldn't realize that a lot of these things that you've seen an increase in pricing, but they are just items that are still coming from China. They are just resellers on the app, drop shipping.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? So it's you can have chemical, biological, all types of warfare on a small scale, but it's very massive, and it could really have a large impact.
Exactly. And I want to bring up something you said. Listen, we live in an age right now, right, where the currency is not the dollar. Like it's not about the dollar. It doesn't matter what the economy is, right? We live in a world where currency is data and information, right? So when it comes to America wanting to like take TikTok out the picture, for example, right? One of the regulations in the contract, right? If TikTok wants to stay in America, right? One of the regulations is you have to give up the data servers, right? You have as this is the US Congress, by the way. The US Congress are saying that TikTok has to give up the data servers in China in order to stay in a Western world. You get what I'm saying? So
But see, the idea, it's not really technically the data which is the currency, it's actually time, which is the only currency, and the data helps you understand how you're spending your time. So that's the relationship. There is only one currency in human life, time. That's the only thing we are losing since the day we are born. And it doesn't matter what you think of money or profit, all of the currency is this time. And the reason data becomes so important is because data gives insights into how you spend your time. I just wanted to correct.
And
it's
data
about
has to
information.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Information.
Umani, or go.
You're in the matrix.
Yeah, I think she is in the matrix. But I'm gonna take it back to what Dollar was saying and Sam was saying, right? Me personally speaking, right? I feel like if a foreign country, right, just TikTok for example, right, right, the American government knows that TikTok is a app that is owned by China, and they're collecting the data of American citizens day to day. The moment you download TikTok, they know who's in your phone contacts. They're reading your messages, right? They already know all your social media accounts. You get what I'm saying? And this is why the American government has a problem with China, right? You get what I'm saying? And this is why they want them to give up these data servers. And the only way that TikTok can stay in America is if they give up, but China is not willing to give up these servers. And why? Right? Because at one time in the point in there was warfare, right? Warfare at one point was uh, guns and weapons and bombs. But nowadays, the greatest war you can cause you can bring across a country is if you can breach that country's like systematic system, which comes down to right information and data. If China is collecting the data information of Americans, right, they have a leverage over all of us because they know how we think, they know how we feel, right? Right? We post images on Snapchat and Instagram, and you think that it's private. It's not private. All its data is being collected, right? And we're on Clubhouse right now, right? Right? And mind you, Clubhouse is free, right? There's data services on some part of the world that is collecting all of our audio. Every single one of us on this app, this information is being collected. You get what I'm saying? So, bro, as an American, I understand why America feels the need to get rid of TikTok because it is a national threat. They feel threatened that the fact that one of the most famous apps in this world is owned by a foreign country.
But the fight that is happening on the other side is also very valid because United States has tried to control the monopoly of semiconductors and CPUs for the entire world. They have been the big daddy guarders of silicon and semiconductor manufacturing. Matter of fact, the CPU processors that the United States has is almost 4 generations further from China. And that's because they cannot compete with TCMC in Taiwan because the patents were filed by US and they made sure that no one could replicate them. And I think it's now that China was able to first time last year produce a 4 nanometer CPU chip on their own completely without any support from the United States. And so US did a very good job of dominating the internet era by safeguarding itself from semiconductors, manufacturing, and thereby reeling home a lot of money, even though they're in so much debt that they can't even afford to pay the interest.
But is it,
Right.
hold on, isn't semiconductors a universal thing? Because every single word is invested in semiconductors.
Yes.
And their base is the base is in Switzerland right now, as far as I know, right? But countries from all over the world are invested into what do they call it? It's CERN. CERN is the word, right?
No. Okay, so you're mixing two things. CERN is particle physics. Semiconductors, Taiwan, TCMC is a different thing. Semiconductors it's basically gold, but you wash gold with really, really clean water. It's like ultra clean water. So let's say you have, let's say, 1,000 gallons of drinking water. That 1,000 gallons of drinking water is converted into 1 liter of ultra pure water. And then that water is used to wash semiconductors to remove their abnormalities before we make small chips out of them. And there are lasers and different things used in order for this to happen. Now, so here's the interesting thing. Now, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the biggest supplier, so after the war, Russia has now become the biggest controller of the neon gas. 90% of the world's neon gas, which is a noble gas, is now under Russia's control. It's a very important component for semiconductor manufacturing, and it was Ukraine that was providing America and Europe with the neon gas to manufacture semiconductors. And that's why now Putin is saying, well, I'm going to take this part of Russia, which I already took. You're not taking this away, because he understands the race is for resources. As artificial intelligence comes out, you won't be able to make chips without the neon gas. US has been blocking them from the chip industry. So now they will block United States from manufacturing by controlling the neon gas. And this is a two-way street. So because in the age of AI, you need chipsets, you need multiple billions and billions of chipsets to make all the devices come to life. And you can't really be dependent on another country in order to make sure that those chips are sold to you, because again, you have this idea that these countries might install physical backdoors within these chipsets that allow their government agencies to log into devices and so forth. This happened with China. That's why we banned Huawei across the world for having a backdoor inside physical chips. So so this is a two-way fight now. And now with Russia controlling the neon gas, Europe and America have to come to the table. They can't monopoly and control the chip industry anymore because one of the most important raw materials is now.
Sam, you remember that Malaysia flight that disappeared?
Yeah, that was shot down. Yeah.
Yeah, did you know that every single passenger on that flight were experts in chips?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
you remember
that is correct. Yes, all of them. There were actually 5 people were the main guys from top chip companies, scientists actually.
Do you think that's a coincidence?
Of course, it's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. Okay, so we're on the same page. Yeah.
So the chip wars are the biggest wars of the near future because as artificial. See, you can see scarcity. Have you seen Nvidia stock prices? Have you seen how exponential it has grown faster than any company in the history of human civilization? No company has given that much return on their share prices as much as Nvidia has, by the way. And all of this, why? Why do you think Nvidia becomes such a? Because they made a very smart move early on of splitting their GPUs into CUDA cores. And the CUDA cores allows AI to run different processes on different cores, thereby allowing a much better functionality when it comes to implementing AI models. And so NVIDIA is right now sitting at the center of this, where everyone in the fucking world wants their GPUs so they can start training their models.
Yeah. But
by the way.
this is my problem with AI, right? Because I'm gonna just give one example. Let's just say McDonald's, right? McDonald's has about 150,000 employees, right? And they pay these employees about 500 million, right? 500 million, right? So if McDonald's chooses to go AI, which they did, right? They have to pay the program about billions of dollars. So how is that economically correct? It doesn't make no sense. Why would you pay billions of dollars, right, when you're paying 500,000 million a year for employees?
Because when you're running big organizations, you don't look at 1 year. You look at year-on-year return for future projections. Yeah, it's at least 5 to 10 year strategy if you're looking at it. So now what they're probably looking at is I'm paying 500 million for people per year per annum. Out of this, a lot of people take days off. People, have medical problems. I have to give them insurance, blah blah blah, different government compliances that I have to go through. Now I might invest, let's say, 1.5 billion, 3 times the cost into these robots. But this is a one-time investment because whoever is going to give me robots, they're going to give me a hardware guarantee, right? Just like you get on your computer. There will be a warranty or a guarantee on the product for a year or two. I will also get what you get MTBF, mean time between failures, on which these robotic companies are going to take a contract and say, hey, if my robot doesn't perform as expected, you can send it to me, I'll fix the parts and send it back to you. Right? And so they're looking at a 5 year cycle and they understand once I implement this, my OPEX cost becomes zero. I don't ever have to invest ever again. So in 10 years, this becomes exponential. 20 years, this becomes.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But there's also glitches. You also have to pay engineers to make sure that these computers are functioning. You know what I mean?
No, they will also have to pay them. Yeah, they will always be.
So would you say that engineers are cheaper than employees?
Of course.
No,
employees in the sense like you will have only engineers as employees down the line. You need these engineers to fix if any robot or things breaks down, but then the other employees are no longer needed because they're all robots, right? So engineers needed on top of robots who are now employees, technically.
I mean, yeah, but I think that's a bad investment, because if you're paying, I mean, in California, right? Employees are getting paid $20 an hour, right? Right? And if you were to pay an engineer to make sure that these systems are working, bro, they're worth like 50, 70, sometimes to 150 an hour. And I think that's a bad investment. That is a bad
You
investment.
do understand, you would need only 10 engineers for, I don't know, let's say 10,000 robots. Or something like that.
Yeah,
assign an engineer to, let's say, a fleet of robots and say, hey, if any of these 1,000 robots has a problem, it's your job, because you're going to keep that engineer busy 8 hours a day. So you're going to make sure he has enough shit to look around and work on it.
Yeah, that makes more sense. So how many engineers do you think that can handle? Because I'm just giving you an example. This is just an example. McDonald's, right? They have 150,000 employees, right? In America, right? Just speaking from America. I don't know about worldwide, right? So if one engineer can handle 10,000 AI projects, right? And you're paying them 150 an hour to 200 minimum, right? I think that's a bad investment because that money is going to add up. You know what I mean? Economically, yeah, it's not smart from an economy perspective. It is not smart.
The economy perspective, it's not good is because it's going to stop the flow of money and the markets are going to collapse and so will economies. That is true. But for the businessman, it's still profit, by the way. And that's the problem with it. The reason they will still do this is because this is huge profit for them. So if Volkswagen, it's one of the customers that I'm working with currently, if they're planning to remove and create completely automated car manufacturing companies. And for them, this is a huge thing because the mean time for failure between these cars is 15 years. give or take, between the components. So that means for 24 hours a day, 365 days, 365 days a year, for the next 15 years, they can just produce cars without having to ever stop for a single moment in time, by the way. That's efficiency at a level that you would never, and but you're right.
Yeah, you're saying there's no error. There's no error involved at all. No error at all.
Of course,
There's gonna
and
be
you will
error.
correct them.
Yeah, one thing I'm kind of getting. So I attended an AI conference in the South Florida region, and they had mentioned that we don't even have enough data right now to even show where some of these errors will start leading. But eventually, with these robots, I mean, we're going to end up having so much room for error, and it could end up in, I hate to say it, but like death of humans as well, to some degree, if we don't get some regulation over how they are, how the algorithm's going to work for them, is what I should say.
Yeah, that is very true, and I am running an NGO on this particular thing, which is called the Information Initiative. One of the goals is for worldwide, we need to come up with the information accuracy standards. As people are more becoming dependent on information from, let's say, AI and even Google, we need to create a standard for people to know how authentic this information is. Because whether you like it or not, even in Davos this year, misinformation was classified as one of the biggest threats to humanity. An uninformed person is curious to know, but a misinformed person thinks they know what the fuck is going on, and that makes a bigger problem because they clearly don't. And so, I agree with it, and I do believe as artificial intelligence evolves, there are different companies working on different kind of models. Information accuracy will become a standard by which we will judge these models.
I love Clubhouse and I love you. This is your best friend, Tiffany Sotheby. Hi, Roxana. I love you. Do you love me? I love you. Hello? 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 I love Clubhouse and I love you. Meow, 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 meow. I love you. I love Clubhouse.
Tiffany Sotheby's very rich. Never had to read they sell all the paintings, so you will be very rich or somebody something.
I love Clubhouse and I love you.
I feel like if you go
pew, pew.
Hello, Tiffany, how are you? Hello, Tiffany, how are you? Hello,
Whatever that
Tiffany,
is,
how
or wherever that is, like another dimension, the other side of a black hole. Like I imagine they think, something came from somewhere. They just can't exactly pinpoint what or where.
Yeah, and that's probably fair. So, like, when I interviewed, a long time ago, 5, 6 years ago now, I interviewed Lawrence Krauss. I asked him, at that time, his book, A Universe from Nothing, had only been out for 3 or 4 months. And I think that's right. And, I said, that's it's kind of a controversial term, like you're going to, provoke some people. And he's like, yeah, that was intentional. It's very much tongue in cheek. Because you're not going to find, it's not like a physicist anywhere who thinks everything came from nothing. They would very much hold to the first law of thermodynamics, and so we break it down to lowest common denominator. Energy is the constant. Energy is what has always been in some form or another, right? So you have like a hunk of wood, right, contains matter and energy, and you can burn that wood to transfer it into another kind of energy, right? But energy at its core has always existed. So when people say, people believe in the Big Bang, it came from nothing. No, like that it came from pre-existing stuff, like most likely energy. Beyond that, we don't know. And I think that's the only fair thing you can say. No, energy has always been. Like, so you think God has always been?
Yeah, God has always been.
Right. So I would say, so I would take the position that, like, I'm convinced energy has always been.
Even if you say, so when you say, because I think we have a difference in like what we mean by always been. When you say always been, you mean like there wasn't a time in which energy was not.
Right. So again, all we can observe is like our observable universe, and our observable universe. And when we go back to close to Planck time, right after that the singularity, commonly known as the Big Bang, we have no capacity to see beyond that or past that, so we don't know. Is it possible that outside of our representation of space-time, that time also exists? We don't know.
Michael, I don't want to cut you off or nothing like that, or be disrespectful. I'm just saying, because I was just asking the question about what you mean by that. And in a certain sense, I would agree there wasn't a time in which energy did not exist. Right? I think that's probably true.
Yeah, but time is conceptual. It's a concept. It doesn't exist in the real world either.
But not time, but energy. There wasn't a time in which energy did not exist. So what you said, that energy has always been, I could be committed to that. But that's because I think that when we say something has always been, we usually mean something more, not that it existed for all time, but that it maybe even pre-exist time, which is what the theists in here mean, that there's something which pre-exists time, or is prior in the order of time.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. Is it fair to say that you think that energy is of God or by God, or maybe a part of God? I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Nah.
If we are the energy of this universe, or a part of it, or we came out of it, I mean, and you think that God is energy, I mean, are you saying that you're God, Michael?
We don't.
Oh no, I was asking.
It's like all about, you are the universe. That guy, remember that guy?
Remember that guy? Who was that guy? Sounds like a great guy.
No, this is the same dude, but it's the same dude. He's using an alt account. Can we just
An alt account bouncing? What kind of Christian charity is that? You can't even tell me what the gospel is in less than one sentence. Who the F are you?
Come on!
Remember him now, huh?
I do. The guy that said he could talk to us without cursing, and then dropped a bunch of F-bombs.
Yeah. The way you caught on was hilarious.
So anyway, Paulus, I missed what. Can you repeat what you last said? I don't remember.
Oh, you asked me the question. This guy, does energy?
Oh, yeah,
What kind of Christian charity is that?
God of God or something like that.
I don't think energy or God is comprised of energy, no. But I do think energy is created by God.
Okay. So then God. So is it fair to say that you think God is the thing, timeless, spaceless, immaterial, that has always been, and everything that has ever been, regardless of what form it takes, energy, whatever, comes from Him?
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Yeah, I don't believe that, obviously, but I think it's interesting.
Well, Michael, does it ever give you pause that you do have really, people like Hawkins and others who have proposed that there's like 11 dimensions of reality and we know functionally about like 3 of them? So does that ever make you think, maybe one of these dimensions could be tied into explaining,
Yeah, it's possible, and if we had the capacity to explore them and stuff like that, then we might come up with answers. Like I'll be the first, and I said this, I can't even count how many times I've said it in this room. I could be wrong. Like you guys could be totally right. I don't think you are, but you could be. So yes, CEO, obviously, one of those dimensions could be a link to the supernatural. Who knows? But I don't think so.
what else we got? Oh, man.
I must have missed the part yesterday where this guy was.
Oh, sorry. Give me this one, Mike. Oh, okay. It's your BMW and your iPhone.
I should upgrade to a Benz, man. Okay, no, so I missed the JK guy yesterday, obviously. The last thing I heard him say just a few minutes ago was, you can't give the gospel in less than one sentence. I mean,
and then he gave it yesterday, and he said we are all sons of God. And someone was like, "Well, what about the girls, man?" Well, I wanted to say I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but I mean, I don't know where that came from. But I mean, of people who, he's still down there, but we're not letting him speak, so I don't want to be too harsh on him. But basically, his thing was, you can't give the gospel in 1 minute, as if that's some kind of, or one sentence. You can't give the gospel in 1 sentence, as if that's some sort of metric for some reason. And then we did. Well, we basically quoted Romans 9, 9. Yeah, so that's the gospel in 1 sentence. And then his thing was, you are sons of God. Universalism, that was his thing. So basically, the good news is letting everyone know that no matter who they are or what they do, they're going to be in heaven with God eternally. I'm like, well, at that point, you don't need to give them this good news because it's just whatever. It's going to happen no matter what you think. So we just disagree.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I think there's a spectrum, right? Obviously, or maybe continuum is the better word to use, where you have people, and I think on one side of it, and I'm just thinking this just off the fly, so I'm not saying this is something I thought about a lot, but it might be fair to say that on one end of the spectrum you have universalists, and then as you go along the spectrum, maybe annihilationists. And then you go further along the spectrum, and then the other side of that is it's eternal conscious torment, like a fire forever. So maybe it's that kind of spectrum. So it's interesting. But the other thing I'll say about the whole kind of being able to give the gospel, I have said the gospel in this room many times, and I think I agree with you, Nate. Like, regardless of whether it takes you 1 sentence, 3 or 4 minutes, isn't the message in and of itself more important than how simply you can break it down? If I don't understand Einstein's theory of general or special relativity. If I had a book, I could maybe read it out in, I don't know, let's say 5 chapters. But would it make more sense if I could read it in 3 chapters or 2 chapters? I don't know. So I think that's my opinion.
Yeah. And there's the challenge again. I don't know. Michael, you want to try boiling down the gospel to 1 sentence? Let me try again. Let's see. Basically, we're taking Romans 9. Like, that's all we're doing. And we're just, eliminating a comma or doing whatever to make it more concise. Like, if we actually put conscious effort into this this for like 3 minutes, we'd do a really good job. But me thinking for 30 seconds again, I'm like, I don't know. Believe Jesus is the Son of God who died for your sins. If you repent and believe and confess Jesus as Lord, you are saved. You will be saved. That's one sentence.
Well, yeah, and because I haven't done it in a long time, I sometimes will use extra words or trip over those words a little bit. But I would, say something like, let's see. So God created everything perfect. There was sin. As a result of sin, we needed a savior. God came down in Jesus, God made flesh, lived the perfect life, died, and was resurrected for forgiveness of our sins. And if you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. Something like that.
That's dead on. But yeah, this guy, hey, Nate, did you realize in the chat that we're in the particle verse? It's pretty sweet. And there's I think there's a They Might Be Giants song about that, like Particle Man. Could be. Or what else has he got there? Universalism and physics are basically the same concept. So since Paulus is actually studying physics, I'd like to hear him tell us how universalism and physics are the same concept.
Chris, don't kill Chris something, man. Like, come on.
It was too funny. Yeah, I don't even know what am I supposed to say to that? Like,
I don't know. Somebody triggered Christians. Michael, are you triggered?
No, not at all.
Right now?
But let's try to be charitable, right? So if physics is
Don't be charitable. Be triggered.
Yeah, I don't get triggered that much. But so if physics is the study of, and Paul should probably give a better definition. I'll just give kind of my lame one. I'm in the soft sciences, not the hard sciences. Physics is kind of the study of the natural world, stuff like that. And universal, no, I can't do it. Sorry, I tried.
Well, hang on. There's a new person. Before we run them off, let's say hi. Hello, new person. What's up?
Yo, what's up?
Alex, man, Alex.
Yo, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
Oh, another day.
Up, Alex.
I'm old and have dementia, but.
What were you guys talking about? Something about physics and universalism?
This dude in the comments.
We're not sure.
This dude.
I'm not sure how the two have any relation.
It sounds great when he says it.
You should ask John. He says that physics is universalism. So just he's got the inside scoop on for us.
Yeah, just roll with it, Alex. Roll with it. Just trust us.
All right. I think at the root of it, it just seems like a completely, so you're making this assertion that that's what this is. I'm not sure I've ever heard anything, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I'm not sure I've ever heard anything that's less falsifiable than that. So, and the value of something, the value in a proposition lies in its ability to be falsified. So I don't even know, I guess the question, and I never looked at the chat, JK, sorry, but if you could, how could your claim of that be falsified in some way?
Define physics and define universalism, JK. Let's do that.
Well, even though we answered what the gospel is in a sense, he continues to ask it, so I don't know if he's going to be coherent enough to do that.
I can agree with him in the chat, Nate. He said that Michael's problem is that he's Canadian. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah,
maybe he's not such a bad guy.
Yeah.
Now I feel weird.
By universalism, does he just mean how we mean it in theology, that everyone's going to be saved, or what does he mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a big. Who was the druggy nutball on the radio that he used to listen to? There's a professor at Berkeley. Can't remember the guy's name. He'll tell us in the chat. But I looked him up and I was like, oh, this guy's a gem. Basically, this guy's shtick was that he was trying to meld all the world religions into one religion. And quantum physics.
Tim Leary?
Physics was like a new
Tim
thing.
Leary?
No, it wasn't Tim Leary. It was a different guy.
That's interesting. So I think in your view, Chris, there would only be, well, okay, maybe let me think about this for a second. There's only one correct religion. So molding all the religions into one, would that also entail eliminating the false ones? So maybe what he's suggesting, even by your light, wouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, I have a suspicion that by melding them all into one, it would be cherry picking like parts they thought were best or most beneficial of different religions. So by the time you got done, even if you melted them into the one truly religion of Christianity, it wouldn't look like Christianity because it would have cherry picked parts of other stuff. That actual like Christian only Bible believing Christians would be like, yeah, this is no longer Christianity.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of ones do. Like that, so you had the founders of the Watchtower Society, right? JWs. They broke away.
Alan Watts?
No. Charles Taz Russell and I think it's James or John Rutherford. They were the ones who started it. But Gordon, like what you just said, right? I don't like this. I'm going to start my own thing. And they took what they wanted from different things. Most of it, I think it leans a little more Protestant, except that they're annihilationists, so maybe not. But what you just said is what they just did, and it's probably true of Mormonism as well. And I'm not sure what you think of Seventh-day Adventists or stuff, but like you could probably pick out lots of other sects, maybe that's the denominations of Christianity, and see that that's kind of what they've all done.
So by universalism, he means molding all religions into one big religion.
No, that wasn't what he was saying. I don't think. Like he was saying, like, no, you don't need to do any of that. Like basically, no matter who you are or what you've done or where you are, like you're all gonna end up in heaven. Like I don't think there was no specific call on his part to do anything with religions. Like, hey, do whatever you want, you're end up in heaven anyway.
No, I don't see how you could argue for that from physics.
I could start a religion today that's anti-physics, and then this entire project is done. Because if he wants to mold all religions into one, then you can just start a religion that's anti-physics.
Well, so the Alan Watts thing was, he was trying to give names for Chris, for whoever the guy on the radio was, so it was the Alan Watts thing. And also, I mean, I think you'd have to agree at some point, Michael, like, there's a difference between, like, Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness, where, they cherry pick a couple of verses, then build their own stuff on top of it, and come up with, a religion that way, versus, like, what Christians would consider, like, within the realm of, like, Orthodox Christianity enough that, they're not a cult. We still believe we're all going to end up in heaven together. Because it's not just like they're cherry picking things they want. It's just their honest to goodness interpretation of what they really sincerely believe. And, who's to say that you could say that, well, the Jehovah's Witness guys do that too. But I mean, if you just like look at everything, it seems like one of these things is not like the other. So it's like, what are the real differences? And I was like, well,
oh no, 100%,
yeah,
100%, Nate. Like when I was a Christian, I still believed like witnesses and Mormons were totally a cult, like absolutely. And it's weird, like, as cult is a trigger word, right? So depending on how you chose to define that, like if you say that cult is a groups of people who get together sharing the same supernatural or religious foundational beliefs, worshiping and praising that deity, then every sect of every religion is a cult, right? So it all depends on how you're using that word. I understand how you're using the cult word, and I still think you're right. Like I've never been able to, like even when I was a believer, even when I studied with witnesses and Mormons after I deconverted, I sat, honestly listening to what witnesses had to say. With my former background, I did the same thing with Mormons, and I was like, I don't know how you don't see this, guys. Like, I don't know how you don't see that just a few people got together, Joseph Smith in one case with Mormonism, and they just made stuff up. And Russell and Rutherford, same thing. So yes, I see the distinctions, but for me personally, I think they're all just part of the 31 flavors.
Well, sure. I mean, I guess we just disagree.
coming away saying, yeah, we don't agree. But like we said before many times, you could be like my neighbor, although you'd have to leave your guns behind if you came here, most likely. And I never moved there. But you know, in a hypothetical world where we're neighbors, I think we have each other over for barbecues and chat about stuff. Have these types of discussions and walk away saying, yeah, you're wrong, and we go about our business until we got together the next time to have a talk.
If I were your neighbor and I didn't give up my guns, would you rat me out to Trudeau?
Yeah, probably.
So great, let me read this. There is no afterlife or heaven after death. The Garden of Eden is now. We have been hypnotized to believe in a future. We are in an eternal now. God is the universe. Oh, wait, you say universe? Yeah, it's all in the chat. The universe is aware of itself. We are a component of God, a mere fart in the wind, or we may also be the prima causa of the Big Bang itself. I again challenge any Christian to attempt to control their brain and tell us in one sentence, what is the good news of Jesus?
We've already done it. The Canadian atheists did it too. But hey, more than this, like he talks about the Garden of Eden, we should just stop as Christians and refer him to King of Atlantis, who very much knows there is a Garden of Eden because it is his domain under the sea. So he should challenge the King of Atlantis on the Garden of Eden at this point.
So Chris, how did you not become a voice actor?
Yeah, sadly, there ends my capacity for charitability. That guy's not well. And I would say, as someone who is a mental health care professional, maybe seek help. So, yeah, this whole thing, I've heard this before, right? Like from people who talk about the idea of quote unquote Mother Earth. Like you see it in stuff like the movie Avatar, right? Where home tree is like this, almost like this conscious thing. And I've heard this talked about before, but there's no evidence whatsoever that there's any quote unquote consciousness. It's like you would have to, I think you almost have to say that if the universe has consciousness, then rocks have consciousness. And since we know that's not possible,
You're telling me to seek mental health help because that's the career you're in? How about you answer my question, Canadian Bacon?
It's basically like a position in philosophy of mind where people will say that there is something that it is like to be a thing for everything, and everything has at least some level of like consciousness, whether it be like a lower level or a higher level. So some people will say rocks have some self-awareness, although like
vibration frequency, is that how they get that? Because they can detect vibrations. So
I haven't looked into the arguments that they use to substantiate it. I haven't heard any like good points from them, but I know it is a position that some people try and take.
But if a rock had consciousness, then wouldn't it follow that they would also they would have the capacity? If you have consciousness, do you have the capacity for good and evil? And does that mean rocks are sinners?
So does a rock may not be the insult people think it is?
I just don't know.
It's like a really intelligent rock.
I think they would just say the rock has a much lower level of consciousness to which they do not have the capacity to express anything because it's just within their nature of being a rock.
Like an instinct.
Like an even lower level of an animal, probably.
Yeah, have you ever talked to a rock, Michael?
Well,
you should try.
I'm talking to you, so I mean that's
very anti-rock.
Sure.
I once met someone on this app.
Rocks eventually become alive. It takes a long time. Rocks are moving and vibrating. Physicist doesn't understand energy theory.
I was on Yuba? Yeah, I was on Yuba.
That's amazing.
Bro, I don't understand people, man.
Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Harry.
Oh, he just put something in the chat.
Good morning, Adam. How art thou?
I love how much this is abusing Alex. Alex is like, this is great.
Just read what he said.
Only in America, by the way. But Alex, I want you to know, even though this and that job is probably in America, we still have a higher, like, national average IQ than your country.
I don't know about that. We made your country. You're speaking our language right now.
Yeah, the problem is that you just imported 2 million muzzies that just dropped your total IQ.
Okay, that is a bit. See, that's where the scale goes down for us. If you actually like barely look at the scale.
I again challenge any of you Christians to tell us not in America what the great good news is that Jesus died for.
Average IQ for a resident of the UK is.
That's because it's skewed by what Chris just said. Yeah.
Are you saying that importing people from the Middle East is lowering your saying they're low IQ?
I'm saying that I'm just playing. I don't know. One thing I will say is if you've ever watched Americans given geography tests, they're not very up there with that.
Oh, come on.
Well, our geography is a lot more complex than most countries.
Well, I think what might be more fair to say, is, and I just did a quick little the High Lord Google search, and the average IQ of a Canadian is 99.52. So we got you both beat.
Yeah,
but
double innovation is coming from that nation, by the way.
So what I was about to say is that IQ, and this is something. I work with a lot of kids. I deal with people that have like problems, and we give some of these adaptive functioning tests. And one thing that I've learned in the 25 years I've been doing this is that IQ is not a measure of intelligence, which sounds ridiculous.
Jordan Peterson, mini-me.
Because you can have people that have very high IQs, but that, I guess one thing I've learned is common sense is not all that common. And so you can have a high IQ, but when it leads to actual functionality in society, they do not necessarily translate.
Yeah, but you say it's more to do with like memory?
Maybe a little, but that's outside what I'd have to bring on one of my political psychologist friends to talk about that.
Typically, smarter people have a harder time acclimating and integrating into society. So I don't. Most of the time, this is kind of like the disparity between like a normal person and like a person with a mental disability.
A little bit, but like, so for example, I have a couple of my friends, one of my dear friends has his PhD in computer science. Chris, you get along with him great. Except he's an atheist. But anyway, so he is like, when it comes to his areas of expertise, he is razor sharp. But when you get outside of that, he's almost like Paula said, like he almost bumbles through society a little bit. Right? And then two other friends, actually relatives of mine, who both have their PhDs in social work. And like again, in their areas of expertise, razor sharp, but they can't make dinner reservations. Right? Like it's just, and so I find it interesting. So like for me, like with people that I've worked with, the average kind of the highest functioning people that I've worked with, as clients and stuff, have an IQ average between 85 and 95. And they seem to be well-rounded, integrated into society. Not necessarily people that are being hugely innovative or
Psychological
are profound thinkers in areas,
of a good
but
news is
they
childish.
do their stuff, they live their
Jesus
lives,
declared
they
himself
are,
God,
they have the
Son of
capacity
God,
for
and also
abstract thought
declared,
and all these
so
other
are
things, they
you.
just kind of get by.
Oh, hang on. Before we move on, I forgot. Adam. Yeah, what's up? You started to say something, and I completely forgot what the question you asked was.
Oh, it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just gonna ask y'all to keep me in your prayers. I somehow have come in contact with something that I'm allergic to, and it's all over my face and going into my eyes and even like trying to go into my mouth and up my arms. So just, pray that I get better before I get worse. And then the question was, when do you think the apostles and disciples Well, I guess they're the same. But when do you think that they quote unquote became saved or accepted salvation? Was it when they left everything that they knew and followed Christ, or was it after the Holy Spirit was A, breathed on them, or B, when they were in the upper room on the day of Pentecost and received the baptism with all the rest in that day?
The Bible teaches that they were Old Testament saints. They were all already saved, every one of them.
And we will definitely keep you in our verse.
They were saved before they met Jesus.
Because they
obviously, except for Judas.
Ooh, which was one of the rapid fire Muslim questions from yesterday. Like, I mean, you know, it's easily explainable, right? It was one of the Jesus says he'll never lose anyone except he lost Judas. Well, if you read the Bible, but you may be banned from reading, it talks about, you know, the son of perdition that was like always doomed. So I mean, you can't lose someone who was always doomed. He was never one of the ones that was not to be lost. See you?
Yeah, so the Peter thing surprises me. He didn't seem very saved at the beginning.
How so?
He was very rough around the edges.
We're all rough around the edges.
No, I mean, like, he was extra rough around the edges. No, he...
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any recorded, like, you know, gross sins, like, you know, if he didn't murder anyone or cheat people, or, I mean, you can say he did some sins, but I mean, who has them? I don't know. That's a weird. I mean, like, I wouldn't make that case at all. Like, because he's rough around the edges, he's not saved. Like half the people we know are like incredibly rough around the edges, and we would think they're saved. Like, way worse than Peter.
Dang.
Yeah,
like Chris.
Just on a side note, Adam, have you tried, like maybe start with, I don't know if you've seen a doctor or anything, but have you tried Benadryl? Benadryl seems to be a really good solution for things like food allergies and stuff like that.
Well, I'm allergic to poison ivy, and somehow it like blew in the wind or something, and it's covered my face, into my eyes, on my arm. I'm driving right now and in a semi, and I'm dealing with all this stuff, and it seems, and so it's like wrapped around my lips, under my nose, up in my nose, in my eyes, and
is it like all
like that?
Red and swollen, patchy stuff?
Yes and no. There's some spots that are patchy, but then there's some that's just a visible rash that is continuing to grow.
Jeez, someone like put poison ivy on you while you slept?
I don't know. It's weird because like I could be standing next to it and it blows in the wind and I get it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. So, yeah.
So let's pray for Adam real quick. Father, we just thank you for Adam. We thank you that you are going to keep him on the road and earning money for his family. Thank you that you already have his plan and his future mapped out, and that you are sovereign over any disease or sickness. Father, we pray that you would heal Adam miraculously today. And if you choose not to do that, that you would give him the wisdom and the insight to find the right doctor and find the right treatment. That you would bless him and his family in Jesus' name.
So again, another just quick little Googly search, and apparently Benadryl has an itch cream, which apparently is very effective for poison ivy. And the almighty Google says that if you combine the itch cream along with their oral medication, it apparently works quite well. And I will also just say this. I noticed that, Chris, as you were praying, this guy, John J.K., actually put up a little laughing emoji, and now it's gone. But I'll just say, like, so, I'm not trying to virtue signal here, but, like, I'm an atheist, but I feel that, you've got somebody who's got some kind of ailment, and, like, John, you're just being a dick.
prime mover of the Big Bang.
Well, maybe if that's the case, maybe Adam's poison ivy stuff will just transfer to John, and maybe he won't be so quick to laugh.
Ooh.
I guess we can call that a reverse prayer that Michael just did.
Oh, there's a whole class of psalms that are called imprecatory psalms that you pray against.
On one hand, I want to say, do it and demonstrate on John, Chris, but on the other hand, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Some of those are pretty rough, man. They're all about like, you know, God breaking their teeth and starving them to death, and yeah, like some good
Courtney,
stuff.
how familiar are you with the imprecatory psalms and praying against your enemy?
I mean, I don't know, like, what do you mean, in what capacity?
I think Chris wants to put a Christian curse on John.
What?
No.
So not to, I'm kind of.
Contractors are showing up at my place. I gotta head out. Talk to you guys later.
Hi, good to see you, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, Courtney.
I was gonna say, I'm kind of surprised that you aren't covering what happened at San Francisco or whatever it is.
Wait, what happened? Like just now?
It's Skittles stuff. Hey, before we get into that though, Courtney, what's going on with?
He's still sleeping right now. So, last night, like, he was complaining about his tube. All of a sudden, like, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden he comes running into my bedroom. And apparently his extension popped out of the actual physical feeding tube. And so I put it back in, but I told him I'd look at it. I don't know, like, he's just saying it's super sensitive, but for the most part, we've not had any other issues since his temperature. So, I don't know, it's weird. I'm just gonna continue to watch him. I prayed so hard last night. I was like, God, I really need like a miracle here. So here's the thing. I think in October, at least that's kind of the time frame that they suggested, there is this intensive feeding program that may call us, and it's in Atlanta. And so we might have to pack up, just me and Noah, and move to Atlanta for like 8 to possibly 10 weeks. And so that means my husband will be home with my oldest and my youngest while they're in school. And it's going to be very, very rough on me, as well as my family. And so I'm like trying to be positive about it, because it's such an intensive feeding program that people come from out of country to Atlanta to go to this place to hopefully learn to eat. And so, like, that's my goal, but
They're gonna kick me. It's only a matter of time. This is a lot of work to try to get kicked from a chat, but we're gonna do it.
I can't even mix like Gatorade into water. He'll drink it, but he definitely protests and tells me how much he hates it. So, like, that would be amazing. Prayers for that. Like, just that he literally starts to eat, and that we decrease the need to use this feeding tube. And once he doesn't use the feeding tube for like 6 months straight, not even one time when he's sick or he's dehydrated or anything, not even one time, they will tell me to remove the tube, and they can either physically close the hole up or naturally his body will close it up. And then, you know, but they don't want to close it up and then him relapse and need it again. And so that's kind of the goal. And then at that point, he'll be a mouth eater.
Courtney, you should do yoga. Yep, they kicked me. Only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. I knew it wouldn't take long, but finally got it. Finally got those Christians popping.
30 years, so it's like for them it's an extra 5.
Oh, John McCurry's running his mouth. Oh, some people just can't stop talking. Some people just can't stop talking.
Bro, for me, like I've been looking in like between 2 and 4, and there is
that market's 30. That market is 30.
There is nothing, but there's also no
I'm telling Abu Jamil on you, John.
Everybody's homes are custom too, though. Like those are not custom,
Not only
like,
that,
like
but
modularly custom.
it's the people in that range are financially astute, and they
Yeah.
all are sitting on good mortgages. They don't want to give them up.
Yeah, they're sitting on 2.5 to 3.5%.
And so they're like, why should we move? We have a great house. We have a great mortgage. Like, fuck you.
The only people that are gonna move, the only people that are gonna make that upgrade are like you have to have a significant delta, right? Like you're going from 10 to 100 million or something like
Delta
that.
boy.
Or like
It's a new job and you're a force.
Delta boy.
You
I'm telling Abu Jamil on you, John, the 5-star is going to teach you how to shut the fuck up and stop running your mouth and how to make good investments. Delta boy.
At that wealth, all right. So like even think about it, like how am I divorced, right? The truth is, like,
Divorce?
You could just most people can just buy out the other person probably at those levels.
You get
You know what I mean?
divorced.
Like we're talking about like a couple $100,000, you know what I mean? Like
Just a couple $100,000, no big deal.
So if you really want to keep the property, you can actually keep the property and the mortgage. In at least most of those cases, from what I can tell. I think you're probably right. Things happen.
Courtney runs a never-ending mouth.
It's like, dude, like I could have, the thing's worth like $1.5 million, a little less probably, and I could have just given her a couple $100,000 to buy out her share. That wouldn't have been a big deal.
Nigga, bitch got pumped.
So even if the divorce isn't necessarily the financial blow, it's just like, well, do you really, still want, a single family, large family home if you live. So you got death, divorce, and relocation, but wow, that $2 to $4 million, or like with this lady Danielle Dow, she's like, this girl's doing like $20-30 million a year in real estate. She's doing pretty well, and she's just saying in that above, kind of like not uber net worth, like not uber high net worth, but that like $3 to $5 million, which is a nice place in Chicago, even, right? That place, that's still like selling at a premium. It's still incredibly competitive for certain properties in those ranges, and those are going to be the home that was bought and customized, or the home that was built from the ground up customized. And that market is still like there's not a lot of supply of that, and there is still a lot of money chasing that.
Well, one thing too is when you're looking at customizing your own home, like building a custom home, it's gotten way more expensive. They used to be like sort of equivalents, and now it's like way more expensive to do your own home than it is to buy an already made custom home.
Well, the worst part of it though too is you also
builders. But a lot of it is material costs and stuff too.
Well, irrespective of the builder, though, Teddy, you're paying typically when you're customizing your home post purchase, right? Then you're not doing that with leverage, right? So you're literally so do you buy the $3 million home that you've customized head to toe, and you get 5-to-1 leverage, or do you buy the $2.5 million home, right, and then spend $500,000, out of pocket, or maybe you take a HELOC or something at a higher rate and with less leverage. Right? So I think the way to go is you just, I think Christian was talking to someone about this like a few months ago about the same thing where it's like,
what's up with Fakuri's getting divorced?
Take the loan on the, you know what I mean? Like take the renovations or the customs as part of the mortgage so you can finance it for cheap and
the bank
get leverage on that.
And then that's a good way to do it.
Or just buy the more expensive home. That's more.
I have an agent right now sending me stuff on the MLS, and I'm not actively looking because I'm not seeing anything I like, because everything that comes through is like.
What's up with Fakuri's and their obsession with real estate?
$1 million for
they're more Jewish.
800 square feet, and I'm like, am I really about?
How I think the next level
Is that in Vegas or Texas?
I think it's on Vegas, right?
Fakuri's are more Jewish than Jews.
So I know those areas. There's only really a couple. Is he in the Matrix? Oh, he's not even on my screen anymore. But yeah, David, I know those. There's only a couple areas in Vegas where you live if you have money, and then there's like a big divide though, like from the $1 or $2 million home, and then there's like
palatial shit in Vegas. Like, have you ever been off? Oh, how are you there?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just saying, like, at least my observation, because I know some people that could sort of live in and around your area. There's only like a couple places where if you have the money, you live in Vegas, right? And the thing I've noticed is like there's like sort of where you're at, like kind of a million or two, right? But then there's like a big ass gap up to these like palatial estates, you know? Like, you'll be in a neighborhood of like $2 million homes, and then all of a sudden it's like, what is that a home? Like, what the fuck is that, right? Like,
if you have
the gap up to like 10 or 20 million, probably.
If you have $5 million to spend here, you can get like just a crazy place, obviously. But $5 million is a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like for a house, like it's just a lot of money.
Yeah, I was asking the 2 to 4 you're looking at, is that in Vegas or is it in Texas?
Well, I've been looking all over actually.
Well, 2 to 4 million goes a lot long. Well, less so now than when I was. Remember when I was talking about moving to Houston and you were like looking at Dallas?
In the area of Dallas, I like 2 to 4 is like it's like normal. It's normal. The area of Dallas is comparable to Vegas, right?
No, it's probably nicer though. Don't you think it's nicer?
There's more. There's more inventory in Dallas. I wouldn't say nicer. There's a lot of nice homes in Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't live in the desert, so like you've got grass and stuff.
Right. It's nicer in terms of curb appeal, you know, but like
Any of you
guys
guys
watch square footage similar.
Any of you guys watch that show Owning Manhattan?
Is that the
one on Netflix?
Oh yeah, it's the new one on Netflix.
I mean, I've seen the whatever, but I've not seen the show.
There's one condo penthouse in Central Park in that they're trying to sell for $250 million. It's just like it's so crazy.
I know that property. It's been on the market.
30-foot ceiling. It's like 20 or 30.
That property's been on the market for years.
For a while. Yeah, I know.
It's a penthouse unit in like the tallest tower in New York or something, I think is what they said. It's right over Central Park. And it's like multiple stories.
Is it that super skinny tower?
I don't know.
That one's really funny. That one's really funny.
It is that one. It is that one, Dave.
Okay, yeah. So that building is a complete disaster apparently. Like it just blows in the wind, and like you can't use the elevator down and whatnot. So no one's gonna buy that ever. It's like why would? And maybe they fix. I'm sure they're investing a ton of money to try and fix it if they're trying to sell a $250 million unit at the top. But like, yeah, apparently like the elevators constantly can't work because of the wind, and so like who's gonna be stuck in their penthouse in Manhattan?
You know what I
millions of dollars like that.
You know what I didn't know about skyscrapers is they all have a giant counterweight at the top.
Yeah.
Which makes sense once you learn about it, but like I had no idea. So like
that's how they did the Sears Tower. It's like that's how they were able to solve the Sears Tower. Yeah.
You know the guy in that show Owning Manhattan is the broker from the famous clip where the buyer is trying to buy a house for 50,000 Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, Ryan.
Serhant.
Yeah.
It's his show. He started his own brokerage, and at the time it was like a $13.5 million condo that he was selling. He was representing the buyer, and he like tells the seller's agent like we got an offer, but it's 50,000 Bitcoin, and the guy goes, Ryan, the worst part isn't even that it's an offer in Bitcoin. The worst part is that it's $1 million below asking.
Yeah, it was like 13.1.
Yeah, and now looking back, it's like 50,000 Bitcoin for that.
That guy was
my brain not working. Someone do the math. Is that 30 billion or 3? No, it's 30 billion. Right?
Yeah, 30.
Bro, no, it's 3 billion. No, it's 3 billion.
Oh,
50,000. Yeah, Bitcoin today is 3 billion.
Yeah. So it's crazy, right? 13 million to $3 billion. And that was, I think that was like 2013 at the time.
Yeah, but you know what that dildo would have done if he took the 50,000 Bitcoin?
Sold it all, yeah.
So I'm talking more about the guy who was trying to buy a place with the 50,000.
I was like, fuck the guy not buying it. But you know what's funny about like sort of that real estate market, like you gotta think to yourself, how many places in the world are there? Like, there have to be like less than 10, probably less than 5 properties in the world that sell for $250 million that are not like, that are just like residences, not like commercial properties.
So I think that in that show they say that it's like the most expensive. I think it was the most expensive place in New York.
It's probably most expensive house or most expensive in the city, maybe.
Yeah.
Like there's like the Hamptons.
I know, but I'm saying even think of Dubai or
like,
whatever.
Yeah, no, I think like 500 is like the overall. And and there's that one there's that Indian guy that has the whole tower that I think they value at like close to $1 billion or something. But yeah, you're right. There's not many of those places in the whole world. Have you read
How
about
do you even have a comp for that? You know what I mean? Like,
have you read about the Zuckerberg compound on Lanai?
Kauai?
Kauai.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Lanai. No, it is, but I think Lanai is a city.
Lanai is elephant. Yeah, Lanai is elephant owns like 98% of Lanai. It's Kauai.
I know. Hold on a second. I'm pretty sure there's a city within Kauai that's like it's one of the where you land, Lanai, or I thought that's what it's called, Lanai or something.
Maybe.
But either way.
But apparently people have died on building the properties because it's just this massive construction project.
Oh, I've driven by it. So my ex and I went up to Kauai and literally, or I should say driven by it, but there's only one main road in Kauai. It's literally just one the racetrack effectively, and it's a pretty small island. You go around the entire island like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. You get this compound's impossible to miss.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be 12 buildings that can sleep 30. Or no, that can't be right. 300 maybe. Anyway, and then it's primarily 2 main mansions, and then there's a tunnel between the mansions, and then a tunnel goes off to the underground 4,500 square foot end of the world bunker. It's pretty sick.
It's pretty sick.
I'd be so pissed if I were him that all this information came out though.
Oh,
the place is called they did an amazing PR move where they fucking Mark Zuckerberg bunker was trending. So him and Priscilla Chan made a video where he's playing video games in the bunker, and she's like, "Mark, are you in the bunker again?" or whatever. And so now when you search Mark Zuckerberg bunker, that's the first thing that comes up. It's very smart. Y'all want to go visit that bunker though, for real, for real.
Oh wow, they're genius, man. They're genius. So you land in it's called Lahai. I thought it's called Lahai. It's Lihe. And then the thing is where his ranch is Lahu. I don't even know. That was me either.
I haven't been to Kauai in 20 years.
The thing is to get to his his ranch, again, this is a really small island for those who've been to Kauai. I think Grace, you said you have a sister or something that lives there, right? But pretty much.
Oh God! I'm saying the same shit. Okay, let me pull out some real jokes. If you had to pay to get on Clubhouse, you would not be here.
If I had to pay,
They do need to make it like a subscription type shit.
I get off this motherfucker. I wish they would charge me to pay to get on the app that I control.
Shit. Why not? I like free things, Cordell. I'm weak.
First of all, Cordell, both of your phones off and you stay with your wrinkle ass grandmother. Cordell, ain't you the same nigga that wanted to bend me over and fuck me in my ass, bitch? Whoa. The fuck wrong with you, nigga? No, you gotta get up out this motherfucker. Get up out this motherfucker room and content bitch for real, remember? Boy, you don't have to come up here. I'ma swallow your nuts like I don't know how to swallow no more, puss ass nigga. Get your bitch ass up here. Fuck wrong with you, hoe ass little boy? You's a bitch. Mohican chicken sandwich, sweet barbecue toasted burrito face ass nigga. Now back to you, Penelope. I don't care. It's default. You want me to say all of them? Jamaican funnel cake, rotisserie chicken patty face ass nigga. Cinnamon toast crunch, ravioli, Popeyes chicken, big biscuit, movie ticket face ass nigga. Premature prayer mantis, Salisbury steak, spicy sweet pepper lamb chop, barbecue chicken loaded baked potato face ass motherfucker. Irritated German shepherd, sweet honey barbecue face ass motherfucker. Hot tamale, crispito, Rey Mysterio, Yu-Gi-Oh card ass nigga, Naruto ass nigga. Japanese Xbox avatar looking ass broke bitch. Fuck on with you bitch, it's in my mind. So what? I read books.
I got a good memory, bitch.
Don't be reading no book.
I got fast. Look at you.
No book.
Former cake ass, little dirty hoe, then I played ass 50 bitch, victim of robbery, first degree looking ass motherfucker, shut your broke ass
Oh
up, bitch, and
yeah.
What?
That's another question. Why you robbed that old lady?
Hey, well, the old lady, bitch, we was in the projects taking shit. We was up to 7 racks. We got about 6 Glocks up out of that motherfucker.
Why you ain't do no nigga like that, DJ?
You said what?
Why you ain't rob a nigga like that?
That's what we robbed.
Old 80-year-old lady.
80 years old.
Yeah.
Not you telling me I robbed it, right? Good, if you don't shut your lying ass up, the fuck with you sweet honey sour chicken ass, exclusive sushi Jamaican egg roll, looking ass motherfucker, bitch, you look like Scooby-Doo dipped in white out, bitch. Shut the fuck up lying. Stop lying. Kiss it, bitch. That don't work. I got 2 first-degree armed robbers, 60,000 apiece for each charge. The gun was 120.
Okay, who you rob?
Your mother.
An old lady.
Old lady. Oscar, why you got these folks thinking I'm robbing old ladies?
You did. You did not rob.
Put too much makeup on, look like a goddamn rock star from the 80s. Kiss. Fuck that bitch. Shut your broke ass up, you ugly bitch. UFO engine fluid, crispy chicken, throwback Miami Heat jersey, Statue of Liberty looking ass motherfucker. Super cheeseburger, pepperoni pizza, remix from Foster Flakes, premium gold edition, apple pie looking ass motherfucker. Mercedes Benz, hubcap twisted, screwdriver.
You robbed that old lady. Shut up, bitch. You weak.
I'm weak, but you knew me.
It's a sticker.
Oh God, I'm flaming this
That ain't
motherfucker.
right though, cause he robbed the old 80-year-old lady. That shit ain't right.
Listen,
He won't do no nigga his age like that.
I need to say something to you, and I need you to transfer it to me. Okay. Well, I finna say Penelope, Jeepers Creepers, Australian Devilfish Fillet looking ass motherfucker.
He gonna get on here and not like you send him money. Don't do it. That's how he do it.
She already did.
Don't ask about the convictions.
Give him punishment. Look out for me doing that.
I'm telling you,
Doing that ain't.
he act like you was sending him money when y'all found out.
I mean, do we not look out for the angels? The angels, man, we better than that.
Oh, Angel, he was just stand on business. He wanted to and
What? That's a lie.
he had to change y'all name and that y'all ain't part of the group no more.
No, EA, yes.
No, you said both of them.
I said EA, girl, not No, that don't work. Look at her trying to
Look,
lie.
on my soul, DJ, you
First of all, fuck your soul.
you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
You lying.
Don't worry, when stand on business get up, I'm gonna make her.
That's the biggest lie on the app.
Cause you said it in her room. You ain't sitting around.
Biggest lie on the app, girl.
Yeah, we gonna see.
And I'm gonna see your